Marquett Burton, the saint and the sinner, giving you lessons from a pimp. And today we're talking about how to overcome fear and obstacles. The very first thing to overcoming fear and obstacles is your mindset. And where do you get your mindset from? I'll tell you where I got mine from, but the important thing to know is that you can still build your mindset today. When I was a child, I had the great misfortune and fortune that my mother ended up using crack cocaine, which means that I had to be removed from the home and live with my grandmother, who is retired. The great thing about living with a retiree is that they have a lot of time. And my grandmother, having grown up like in the 20s, literally picking cotton, she had very old world values. Even though we had a car, she'd walk me to school. So when I was 7 years old, she'd walk me to school. And one such day, she told me, you're a boy, but you're going to grow into a black man. And here in America, you must be 3 times better than a white man for you to get acknowledged and for you to be successful. And you will be successful. So don't expect things to be fair. Know that you must always outperform. She set my mindset. She'd give me this rundown every day when we're walking to school. So it really calloused my mind. And what it did was it made me look at the world as a competitive environment, an environment in which I knew I was disadvantaged, and an environment in which I knew that there would be challenges, but I could overcome those challenges. And the instrument to doing so was working way harder and smarter than everyone else. Whether you're a black man or not, whether that statement that she made is true or not, it's that mindset that has driven me forward beyond obstacles, fear, and challenges. So the first thing you must do is have the right mindset, which is 1, life's not fair. Even when you do the right things, sometimes you still lose. Even when you work hard, sometimes things still go awry. That's number 1. Life's not fair. Don't expect it to be fair. Don't expect to get the same favors that your neighbor gets. Don't expect anything to be fair. That's number 1. You'll have to deal with whatever comes. Play the hand that you're dealt. Number 2, in terms of mindset, look at your locus of control, meaning there are a great many things you cannot control. The weather, the taxes, the political climate, other people. The things that you can control is how early do you wake up? How intense are you being about meaningful activities in your life? The things within your control, focus on that and be very diligent in doing those things. My grandmother said you have to be 3 times better. You have to perform at 300%. The way that manifests itself is when boxers are typically training for a fight, what they'll do is they'll do 3-minute rounds with 30-second breaks, whereas when you're competing, it's a minute break. So they're reducing the amount of time they have for a break. When I'm training, I do 4-minute rounds and 20-second breaks so that I can outperform these people. So that when it's showtime, I'm performing at a different level because my mindset is different. I put myself through way more struggles. And when I'm in that boxing ring, if the referee makes a mistake, I know that the decision in that bout is not going to go to the scorecards. I'm not going to leave it up to the referee. I'm not going to leave it up to the judges. It needs to be within my locus of control, meaning the things that I can control. The second meaningful piece of being able to overcome obstacles and fear is separating out obstacles from fear. Obstacles are actually quite clear most of the time. It's a barrier. It's something that's clearly in your way. Those things, I often like to write a list every day. Here's a list of the things that are bothering me or the challenges that I have. And then I identify some specific steps I can take to overcome them. And I try to knock out at least 1 step per day to make progress against that obstacle. On the fear side, fear is a shapeshifter. Fear comes in many forms. It's elusive. Sometimes you can't identify it. For example, just recently, I think it was Thursday, I was in the boxing gym and I got a mean 2-piece. Boom, 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 bink. Went down to the canvas, which almost never happens. I get up and I was thinking, God damn, ain't that a bitch? I get back in there. We're throwing, and I'm winning the majority of the rounds, right? Then another unexpected 2-piece. Boom, 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 bink. I go down again. And what it really is, it's actually an overhand right that's just hitting me out of nowhere super hard. And I went down again. Now, by the time everything was done, after that, a couple rounds of sparring with a couple different folks, then I continued my workout. By the time I got home, I could tell that I was mildly concussed, meaning I had a mild form of a concussion. Headache lasted a couple days, didn't get any sleep whatsoever on the first day, which concussion is usually an extreme of no sleep or an extreme of too much sleep. Sensitivity to light and sound, so I was mildly concussed. And after that, I was thinking, damn, do I really want to do boxing? Is that something I really want to do? Do I even want to go back to the gym? Am I making any money at boxing right now? I'm not making any money. Do I even really want to do this? And those questions, those were not questions motivated necessarily by my true nature or by reason. Those were questions motivated by fear. And it was hard to really see the fear in it because my true fear is not of getting beaten up. My true fear is not having my faculties together, being inarticulate. My unique advantage in the world is being more eloquent than most people, being able to think through things far better than the great majority of humankind. To lose that would be a great loss. But here's where you experience trouble with your fears. It's when you're living somewhere other than the present. Fear really thrives on you living in the past or in the future. You see, when you start thinking too much about the future, you're screwing up. Why? You might not even have a future. You might walk outside today, see the crosswalk, look, and they show you the white man saying it's all good to walk. You start walking, you look left, you look right, you start walking, you're within the white lines, the white man's told you to walk, and then your ass gets mowed down by a car because they weren't paying attention. They were texting or they were drunk driving, whatever the case is. You might not have a future. Don't worry about the future. Taoism is a philosophy that says you should be a blade of grass in the wind. If the wind blows that way, you lean that way. If the wind blows that way, you lean that way, which is to say be flexible. But when the wind stops blowing, you retain and come back to your position. You never lose who you are. But you don't live in the past or the future. You live in the present. And what I mean by that with regards to boxing is my fear was, what if over time this takes a toll and your boy is punch drunk talking like Muhammad Ali in old age? But in reality, how many times have I gotten concussed? Second time. And that first time was over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I'd been out of the gym for a while. Tends to happen when you've been out of the boxing gym, you get back in there thinking you can just pick up where you left off. So fear creeps in and you have to be able to identify it to fight it. That's number one, being able to identify the fear, which means that you must regularly engage in introspection, an examination of yourself, one in which you are not being sensitive with yourself, one in which you're being ruthless with yourself and digging out the real truth, getting to the bottom of things, getting clarity. And once you've identified what the real things are that are making you fearful, ask yourself, is there another kind of fear that I can leverage against that? Me, I have a fear that I'm very comfortable with. It's a fear of not being great. It's a fear of being average. It's a fear of walking around and no one knows my name. It's a fear of an empty bank account. You take those fears and measure them up against the petty fear of maybe I'll get a concussion or maybe I'll be punch drunk. And when I ask, who am I really? What is my true nature? I find that my true nature is I'd much rather be a lion for a day than a lamb that lives forever. That's who I actually am. That's how I really feel. And when I realize my true nature and I don't allow fear to get in the way, then I say, well, God damn it, I got to get back in the boxing gym. And the guy who sent me down 2 times, I pray for him because he has just signed himself up for some vicious shit. And mind you, important thing to know is that wasn't a regulated bout. That was just sparring in the gym. But God bless him. He just signed himself up for some real vicious shit because that night after I took those 2 pieces and went down, I didn't sleep that whole night. You know what I was doing while I was sleeping? I was fucking boxing in my sleep. I couldn't get any sleep because I'm like jerking in my sleep because my mindset, my programming is to win no matter what it takes. That's who I really am. And when you remove fear, you allow your true nature to flourish. And that's what I'm telling you is know who you are, be introspective, ruthlessly identify fear. And if you can, use a greater fear that you like to destroy a petty fear. My greater fear is of not being great. My greater fear is of being average, is of being broke. Those are greater fears. And I'd much rather be a world-renowned boxer, or at least pursue that, than have a situation wherein I could have been noteworthy, but I ended up being nameless because I didn't try. And I can tell you, when you don't try, the feelings that accompany a missed opportunity are feelings that gnaw at your soul and don't allow you to have any peace in your old age, because you see young people striving for things and you think that could have been me. Even in your advanced age, you should still be striving because you can still do excellent things. My third tip on dealing with obstacles and fear. I actually have what I call a black box. I've never mentioned it, but I'm actually writing a book right now. And throughout my book, what I describe are the things that go into the black box. You're familiar with aviation. All airplanes have a black box in which it's essentially recording the happenings of the aircraft, so that in the event that there's a crash and they need to see what happened, they can get this indestructible box and then essentially see what was recorded to find out what went wrong. In my book, when I mention the black box, I'm really talking about essentially what it is an indestructible collection of memories. And inside of this black box are all of the memories that compose you, all of the memories that have created your mindset, the challenges you've went through that made you strong, the triumphs that you've brought yourself to that have added to your character, the accolades that let you know who you are. All these memories in this black box. And in this black box, it's something that I like to open from time to time. When you're on a long run and you're at mile 11, you need to get to mile 13. Not because you're in a race, but because you said you're running 13 miles. You open up that black box and you say, oh, well, if I've been through this, I can run 13 miles. Or if I've done this, I can run 13 miles. It's all about mindset. And so I look in that black box, almost like a filing cabinet, go through the memories, and I replay those memories of triumph or memories of struggles I've overcome and came out on top, or times I showed resolve and focus. So have your black box and replay those memories and remember who you are, and you show yourself who you are. And the important thing to know is that who you are is who you've behaved as consistently. You are your habits. Therefore, excellence is a habit. I believe Aristotle made some formulation of that. So if you say that you're a person who runs, if I spent a week with you, I should observe you running regularly, if not daily. We're in an era where people say that they are so many things, but in reality, we find out that they are so little. Speak very little. Be very much. Here's another critical aspect of overcoming obstacles and fear. I actually have a list of things that get me going. I literally on my phone have a list called things that get me going, meaning coal or fuel that burns the fire. You have to have an understanding of what motivates you. One of those things is exercise. That's always going to make you feel physically stronger. There is obviously a mind-body connection. I'm not saying this on a spiritual level. I'm saying this as hard biological science will let you know that your physical body will improve the functioning of your mind. It will improve your feelings of optimism and happiness. Work out. When you look like a lion, when you feel like a lion, when you feel strength, you will feel more capable in achieving what you have to achieve, and most importantly, in overcoming obstacles and fear. So that's number one, exercise. And I'll share a few of the things that are personal to me. You'll have to find out what works for you. Another thing that I like is I love stories of inspiration. So I might watch a documentary on someone who's very accomplished, or a docudrama, or a good film that I like. And often I might not even watch it. I'll just listen to it while I'm working and grinding. But I'm putting in that positive information into my mind. Whatever you find that motivates you or brings you clarity or spiritual relaxation to get you in the right mindset for you to attack and be a pit bull and go at what you want, have a list of those things, because reversing a breakdown is very difficult. So when you have a discrete list and you say, man, I don't feel so good, and you try everything on that list that you know makes you feel good, one of those things are going to spark you. So it's important to have that list. Something that I read an article on when I was in university. There was an article that came out of Caltech in Pasadena. It was on anxiety, specifically performance anxiety. Often when we find that we procrastinate, it's because of performance anxiety. When we experience fear or obstacles, it's generally circled around how we will perform in a given task, right? So say you get hired for a job and now you're nervous about going to your first day of work. Are you really fearful of the job? No, you're more so fearful of how you will perform at the job. It's performance anxiety. The number one way to get over performance anxiety is to be prepared, to have practiced well what you're going to perform. Number two is to know that you've done everything that is within your control, and everything else will have to be left up to fate, which means that you must be a person of faith, which is very difficult. Me personally, I follow Islam. I'm also a keen observer of Christianity and Judaism. But find something that works for you, whether it's Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, Amish, Joangers, Mennonites, you name it. Be spiritually guided. We're in a world that is very rotten. Many people are following money as a god, which is ironic because most people don't have any money, but whether they do or don't have any, they're still chasing it. When you're spiritually guided, it allows you to see the world more clearly, make better decisions, but most importantly, have faith. And faith carries the human being through. When you see your end point is here, your standing point is here, and there appears to be a major gap with no bridge, faith is what often keeps you focused and believing you can get there. And an exercise of faith is praying regularly. Even if you're not necessarily praying to Allah or a God or Jehovah or Yahweh or Yeshua or whoever, if you take out time to meditate regularly in peace and silence, reflect on what you want and what you need, you can attract those things and you can maintain that positive vibration that will send you on your way. Faith is absolutely critical. You must be a person of spirit. You must be guided. I thank you for having shared your time with me and joined this community. If you have anything to add to the discussion, please do comment. Absolutely click that like. And more importantly, if you haven't subscribed, definitely click the subscribe button. And if you have subscribed, click the bell next to the subscribe button. Critically important. That'll give you a notification of when we go live. It'll give you a notification of when we post new videos. Importantly, Google and YouTube literally have made it so that my channel gains no advertising revenue. I kid you not, from all the time we've done videos, we have about $8 in advertising revenue, even though we have over 1 million views. And that's because they don't like the messages that we share. So we can only grow our channel by you sharing our channel, by you making donations at the Cash App, Venmo, PayPal that we have listed below. And this has to be supported by you. So I thank you all for your time and attention.